So again, it ain't your job to be mad at all this. It ain't your job to be cynical or paranoid or any of that. Think of your job as to be magical, to be inspiring, to be really smart, you know, to challenge yourself, to get the most out of yourself. And then just when you think you're as good as you could be, start over again and keep going. Keep contributing, because the better you get, the more you have to offer. And that's what this life is about, you know, like, what are we here for? You know, you hear it all the time. You know, you can accumulate all these things, you can't take anything with you. None of us gets out of this alive. So what are we here for? We're here for each other. We're here to have relationships. We're here to encourage one another. We're here to help one another. You know, that's what we're here for. We're here to contribute. We're here to try to, like, you know, drag somebody along when they can't walk anymore, or lift somebody up when they fall down, you know, push somebody when they can't get up that mountain. Like, that's what we're here for. We're here for one another. And I think if we think that way, it'd be a much better world, you know. It ain't all about you. Yo, real quick. I talk about a lot of stuff in this video, but I just want to let you know that I'm using the Panasonic 20-60 kit lens that I just bought because I sold my Sigma 28-70 to get this lens because it was much better for me, for what I needed. And I explain all that in the video. And so I just want to show you some B-roll from this lens up front because it looks beautiful. I have a Moment Cine Bloom filter on it and an ND filter. Right now I'm shooting at ISO 4000, but the B-roll I shot at 640 most of it. And it looks beautiful. I love the way this lens looks. And so I'll talk about it in the video. I just wanted to show you this up front, and let's just get to the video. What do you want? What is your intention? What's your desire? What do you hope for? What are you dreaming about? Like, what are you wanting to contribute to people, or are you hoping to contribute to people? Like, what exactly is it that you want? with this work that you do. You know, all the hours that you're spending on YouTube or social media, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. A very dear friend of mine once sent me something that I put up on my refrigerator. And it says, art is to comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable. What exactly do you want to get out of it? Like, what's your end game? You know? What is it? Because I think that's probably the most important thing that you can consider when you're doing anything, spending any time with anything, is what do you want? You know, why are you doing this? What is your why? As an artist, and at least with regards to this YouTube space or social media, it is not your job to be mad at how all this works. It's not your job to be cynical about it. It's not your job to be like all upset and crazy and paranoid about it. It's not your job. Your job is to be magical. Your job is to create work that makes people feel things, that, you know, that makes people like absolutely feel transformed, feel transported to another place. And I think that's something that's like really important to anybody's existence, to kind of understand what exactly it is that you're trying to say. Because it ain't all about you, you know? It ain't all about any of us. It's about all of us. You know, this is a community. And I think the more people that think that way, the better for all of us. You know what I mean? Like, nothing you do has effect only upon you. It's your job to create something mystical. You know, again, I'll say magical. It's your job to give people the opportunity to imagine things, to go inside of their own life experience and imagine, you know, see things, you know, like go to places that they don't generally go to, kind of disrupt their day-to-day life. This, you know, the way that they walk from day to day is just like this mundane cycle over and over and over again. And it's your job as an artist to disrupt that, to just fuck that up, to get people all off balance and out of their comfort zone and all off kilter, and get them to go with you into this place of beauty, into this place of, you know, like, I don't know, something that they could never have imagined before. Because the thing is, it's also your job to do it your way, not anybody else's way. You know, everything that you do affects somebody else in some kind of way. You might not think it does, but it does. You know, everything that somebody else does affects you in a certain kind of way. And so it's your job to take people someplace where, you know, before they just never even knew about it, you know? They couldn't see things in this way. They couldn't hear things in this way. They couldn't imagine things in this way. That's your job. So what inspired this video today is that somebody from my YouTube channel reached out to me through my personal email, through my website. And I'm not going to shout him out because I don't know if he wants to be shouted out, so I don't want to do that. But he sent me a link to a video that I watched, and I'll post a link in the description of this video as well. But it was relevant to, excuse me, it was relevant to something that I've been talking about recently, and I talked about in my last video, which was, I don't really understand why suddenly my watch hours are so far behind my subscribers, you know, because I'm trying to get monetized, you know, I'm not going to lie. Your job is not to say, I don't know how this algorithm works. I don't know how, you know, these watch hours are going to increase. I don't know how to get more subscribers. You know, the truth is, maybe people buy subscribers. Maybe people buy watch hours. It might be true, but it also might not be true. Because, you know, the thing is, think about all the videos you've seen on YouTube if you're interested in this kind of stuff. I've seen so many YouTube videos of people who say things like, how I got monetized in 1 year. And now they're making $2,000 a month, $3,000 a month, you know. They started by making, you know, $250 a month or $400 a month, but now they're in the thousands. And so I finally got to 1,000 subscribers. And over the past 3 or 4 months, my channel is like really starting to gain traction and move a little bit faster. But I've seen equal parts of people who it just never happened for them, you know. It took 15 years, 10 years, and they're making 36 cents. You know, and then I've seen other people that it never had. They have no subscribers. They have nothing. They can't figure it out. But when you look at all their videos, you know, like they're all I would say all equal in terms of, maybe you would say, deserving of monetization, of attention, of eyes on their work. I mean, they're all good, is what I'm trying to say. But not my watch hours so much, you know. But people are leaving me comments like it's obvious to me that they're watching the entire video. And what's interesting about that is that my videos are like 20, 30, 40 minutes long, sometimes over 40 minutes. And people are making comments based on what happens at the end of the video. And so I'm assuming they're watching the whole video. And so that should lead up to a lot of watch hours, especially considering suddenly I'm getting 1,500, 1,800, 2,100 people watching these videos. And so it's like, you can't figure it out. You know, I've made videos about this. But the thing is, I always find myself in those videos coming back to a place of saying, I don't care. I don't give a shit. I care about making a movie. I care about writing a script. I care about writing a play. I care about making YouTube videos that only I would make, that nobody else would think of, that nobody else would do, because it's coming from me. It's coming from my experience. It's coming from my work as an artist. Nobody else would do it. They could copy me if they want to, but what I'm saying is I'm not copying anybody else. I ain't even watching anybody else's channel, really. You know, unless somebody's telling stories, unless somebody is bringing something magical to the table, I'm not interested. And so it just wasn't making sense to me. So anyway, this guy sent me this video and I watched it, and it was really interesting to me because it talked about how YouTube actually slows you down at some point, you know, and that makes sense to me because all of a sudden when I got to 1,000 subscribers, things just slowed down, you know, and so they're not as slow as they were in the past, but they're a lot slower than they were for the past 3 or 4 months. And I'm pretty much modeling what I've been doing. You know, it's like, okay, I obviously figured this out. Everything is like literally 5, 10 times better than what it's been for the last 4 years. But all of a sudden, what I was doing for those 3 or 4 months is not working as well now. And what's up with that? It doesn't make any sense. But it does make sense to me when I watch this video and I see the way YouTube and all these other social media platforms work. If I need a new lens or if I need a new camera, I will go watch some reviews, maybe 3. And I have my go-to people, you know. I have the people that I know who I trust, and I'll go see if they reviewed that, and then that's enough. I don't need to start scrolling through and watching every review that's ever been made about this and then let everybody else make my decision, because the truth is, when you keep doing that, you get more and more confused, and you start to lose your own sense of direction, your own sense of what you need, you know, what you want, you know. Like I say in the video, what do you want? I realize I don't want to even have to think about this, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not waking up in the morning thinking about how to beat the YouTube algorithm or how to get more subscribers or how to do this or that. I want to think about how to make the best art that I can make, you know. I want to think about how can I compel people to be interested in these videos. Like, how do I create the best characters, or how do I write the best story, or if I'm making film, how do I shoot the best film? You know what I mean? How do I shoot the best videos? How do I, if I'm on stage, how do I create the most beautiful story? You know, how do I create some relatable stuff that moves people, that touches people and kind of reminds them of themselves, so that it disrupts them into thinking about things other than, you know, what they think about every day, or things that they might not want to deal with. You know what I mean? What are you trying to do? What are you trying to say? It's not your job to be here and like to, you know, tell people that there's some kind of conspiracy going on about why you can't get your watch hours, or why the companies tend to go towards this type of, you know, content creator as opposed to this one. And who cares? And I mean, I don't mean in an annoying kind of way. Like, I'm not trying to disrupt you or I'm trying to stop you from doing the things that you want to do. But when you do decide and you're kind enough to come to my channel or come see me in a play or come watch one of my movies, when you're nice enough to do that, I am trying to disrupt you out of your day-to-day kind of, like, I want you to think about things that you might not want to think about generally, you know, when it is about other people too, when it's about community, when it's about elevating all of us, you know, or when it's maybe raising awareness to stuff that maybe you don't want to think about, that is maybe killing other people or destroying other people's environment, or, you know, ruining people's lives or whatever. Like, maybe we should all think about that, because we're all a big global community, you know. You know, it's funny, I was thinking about this all day today and I couldn't wait to get in front of the camera. And then I came home tonight and I turned on my phone and I saw this guy, Jay Will. I think his name is Jay Williams, or Jason Williams, I think. And I used to watch him review cell phones. And he always struck me as just a real straight shooter, honest guy. And he was doing a video tonight about some kind of controversy that's going on. And basically what it said is, if you want the truth, come to my channel. And I believe him because I've always felt like he tells the truth. And so I really appreciate that on YouTube. Like when I'm looking for something, I tend to think that I'm always drawn towards the truth, or at least what resonates me as true. And I know that, I'm not throwing any bullshit out there on my channel. I'm trying to be entertaining. Actually, that's why my videos are 45 minutes long. Do I care about the rules of YouTube? And my video is 12 minutes or 14 minutes or just enough for, no. If I got something to say and it's going to take me 45 minutes or an hour, that's what I'm going to do. And I get people all the time commenting like, couldn't get through the whole thing, it's too long. That's fine, But do you say the same thing when you watch a movie on HBO or Netflix, or when you go to the movies, or when you go see a play on Broadway or off-Broadway or whatever? I mean, obviously, first and foremost, we're a local community. We're about our families, and then our neighbors, and then our neighborhoods, and our, counties, and our states, and our country. But then it becomes global, and we're all about each other, like, you might not think what you do affects other people, but it does, And I think I said that before many, many times. But I'm going to say it again, like, we all affect one another. You think it's too long, probably because, well, it could be a number of things. One, you have been programmed now to only be able to take a certain amount of information at one time. And probably it's less than a minute. Like, you probably can't handle more than a minute because you're used to TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, and you're just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling because you need something new every 3 seconds. Like, okay, I saw that, now I got to go. Oh, I saw that, now I got to go somewhere else. I saw that, okay, I got to go somewhere. I saw that, and you're just scrolling. And after a while, you don't even know what you're looking at because you're not really looking for any information, and you're not really being entertained other than this constant scroll of all kinds of different stuff that I don't know. If that's entertaining you, you have been programmed to be entertained that way because there's no story there, There's no conflict or resolution. There's no character development. There's no exposition. There's none of that. And so what are you entertained by? Just because it all looks cool? I mean, I don't know because I don't do that, and I can't. And so anyway, I watched this video that this guy sent me, and it was really interesting to me because it pointed out how these social media platforms slow you down from time to time because they're always going to do what's best for them, not what's best for you as a creator. And if you notice, and this is something that really annoys me, like I hate when I wake up and I look at YouTube and I see these, suggestions and it says, for you. And I'm like, motherfucker, what do you for me? How do you know what's good for me? Same thing on Facebook, suggestions for you. Like, what are you talking about? And by the way, I'm hardly seeing the people that I know that I actually, engage with in my regular life, who I've had experiences with. Suddenly I'm not seeing these people on my timeline because you think somebody else is good for me. And whether that's the same thing with YouTube. Suddenly I'm not seeing the same people scrolling down my feed. I'm seeing a bunch of other stuff. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. If that's the way society is now and if that's what people like, that's fine. But I'm not interested in that, and I'm not doing that. To me, YouTube is like a free website. Like, I can't believe I get to upload stuff for free. And I could put my movies on YouTube if I want, if I just want people to see it for free. And now that I'm getting monetized, I could actually charge people to watch my movies. That's amazing to me. And that's such a gift and such an opportunity. The algorithm is thinking about what's best for you. And I think part of that is that something like that is going to get you scrolling and looking for where you want to be, but in the meantime, you're going to find other things along the way that you might be interested in. And so now the social media platform is expanding your reach for you, even if you might not have wanted to do that. That's kind of fucked up. And so I say all this to say, if you're an artist, and I know a lot of people argue about this and say, oh, like even Jay Will tonight, he said there's a difference between influencers and content creators. I hate the term content creator. I'm an artist. I'm a playwright. I write screenplays. I'm an actor. I'm a musician. I do a lot of things. I'm a poet. I'm a photographer. I mean, that's an artist. That's how I identify. But if you might identify as a content creator, but I might go to your page and go, wow, you are a motherfucking genius. You're an artist. Maybe you don't look at it that way, but I look at it that way. I've been thinking a lot about my watch hours, you know. And for me, my watch hours, and this might sound silly to you or whatever, but my watch hours are my watch hours. Like, what am I watching? You know, what do I want to see when I look at social media or when I'm watching movies? Because I don't really look at social media all that much, to be honest with you. You know, I'm not following your channel. I'm sorry, I don't do that. You know, I always tell people, if you want to reach me, email me or text me or call me directly. What a concept, call me. Like, I'm not scrolling through social media. I'm not spending time on social media. I'm using social media for my work to put it out there. And yes, sometimes I'll look around if I need information or if I'm curious about something. But trust me when I tell you, I don't spend any time scrolling on social media when I could be watching a movie on Netflix or HBO or Amazon or whatever, you know, or I could be on Tubi TV looking for independent film. I'm not spending any time on social media otherwise, you know, I don't do it. And it's not like a negative thing towards anybody else. It's just like, I'm not really that interested in what you're doing with your private life, what you're eating for dinner, what you're mad about or what you're happy, like, I don't care, you know. Maybe if something crazy happens in the world, if there's some kind of terrorism or something like that, I might start scrolling around social media just to see how everybody's feeling. And sometimes to make sure everybody's okay, if I happen to know somebody who lives in that area. Like if there's an earthquake or some kind of natural disaster, a hurricane, tornadoes, you know, something like that, or war. So I consider you all artists, so I'm just saying, as an artist, it's really of no use. It's not really useful. I guess if you're only looking for hits, like, you know, clicks or views or subscribers or whatever, and if you figured out that a lot of people love stupid controversy that nobody could really factually stamp as absolutely true, then okay, do that. Do that. But, you know, I think that your job is not to do that, because how is that useful? How's that helping anybody? Like, if you're telling somebody that basically there's no way to figure this out because the company is against you, you know, they're stopping you from succeeding, they're slowing you down. Like, you know, I'm talking about that in this very video because I just watched a video from the head of Patreon, who I see all the time interviewing other artists. So he's some kind of big guy in this content creator world, saying that Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, they all let you like fly for a while, and then they kind of slow you down because they know how to expand their reach and get people to look at more things and get people more addicted to this platform. And really, that's not useful to me, because all that can do is paralyze me from creating art. It can stop me from telling stories, and I'm not going to let that happen because I don't really care. So my watch hours are my watch hours. But the conundrum is that I am trying to get monetized on YouTube, and I do, you know, when I write a play or when I make a movie, I do want people's eyes on my work. But, you know, I've learned how to do that, how to market my work. You know, marketing is like, you could use marketing in social media for sure, and it's become a very important part of social media. But also, like, for example, when I was doing a play, I would go out and perform in the streets and promote my play. Like, I was doing a show off Broadway for a while. I did 8 shows a week for almost 6 months, about a decade ago. And I used to go out to the tickets booth in Midtown Manhattan, where they sell tickets to Broadway and off-Broadway shows, and I would perform like kind of off to the side to this big bleacher area that they have, and people would come and they'd get engaged, and I'm telling you, I get 20, 30, 40 tickets a night sold to my show, just doing excerpts of my show, because people were like, damn, he's out here in the street doing this, like, I got to, and you know what, I'd pick a part where I would leave people hanging, and they'd be like, well, what happens? And I'd be like, you have to come see the show. Do I want to get monetized? Yes. Will I get monetized? Yeah, I choose to say yes. I choose to think that the reason my watch hours are behind my subscriptions is because that's just the way it is. You know, maybe people subscribe sometimes when they watch my video for 3 minutes or 7 minutes instead of watching the whole 20 minutes or 30 minutes or 40 minutes. And so my watch hours might lag behind a little bit. That's okay. Because at the end of the day, I'm not here for that. I want that, but I'm not here for that. I'm here to tell stories, to create art, to try to be magical. My watch hours are what I watch and also how I can get people to watch me. And that is part of the YouTube thing. But one thing I will not do is I will not play this YouTube game. Like, I will not chase my tail around in a circle trying to figure out the algorithm and, you know, what YouTube wants and stuff like that, because I don't really care what YouTube wants. YouTube wants stuff that has nothing to do with me. YouTube could care less about me. Instagram could care less about me. Facebook, they don't give a fuck about me. I care about me. The people who support me care about me. My friends, my family, like people like that care about me. But these platforms, they don't give a shit about me. And so I'm not trying to chase them. I'm not trying to, you know, go after what they decided works this week and then what they decide next month is going to change. I can't do that. I'm just trying to do what I feel called to do, you know, and what I feel is my responsibility and what I feel I'm best at, you know. And personally, I don't think it's useful to try to figure it all out, because you can't. I get recommendations and, you know, people are always giving me advice and stuff, and none of it works. None of it. You know, I've tried everything. None of it works. And then all of a sudden, I start doing something that I just felt like doing, like, fuck it all. I'm just going to do what I want to do. And suddenly everything exploded, right? 3 months, I got more interest, I got more subscribers and watch hours in 3 months on YouTube than I got in 4 years. But then I kept doing the same thing, and all of a sudden it kind of flattened out a little bit. And I'm like, I felt myself for a minute, for a quick second, going, oh, I better like figure this out. But then I was like, no. So I'm just trying to make the best art that I could possibly make. I'm trying to tell the most compelling stories, do the most meaningful work. I'm trying to engage with you. I'm trying to connect. You know, I'm trying to be as intimate as possible with my audience. I'm trying to look you directly into your eyes, even though I have sunglasses on right now, but it's mad bright, so I got to keep them on. But, you know, I'm trying to connect. You know, I'm trying to bring us together, and I'm trying to have us try to solve problems together, you know, as a community, as a team. You know, we're in this together. I'm writing a screenplay right now. I'm writing a play right now. I'm getting ready to shoot a short film. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm thinking about. None of this other stuff, you know. And when I do YouTube videos, I'm trying to make it entertaining, but I'm trying to make it meaningful, and I'm trying to be supportive, and I'm trying to be, you know, like uplifting and trying to help people to be inspired to, you know, somebody today left me a message, a comment on one of my videos and said, I just started to get into photography and I hope that one day I could be this vast. And that's so deep. That somebody would look at me that way, because that's what I aspire to. I want to be vast. You know, I want to be able to do a lot of things. You know, people have often told me, just focus on one thing. You're doing too much. You know, you're doing too many things. But I'm not doing that on purpose. I'm doing it because that's what I feel like doing. And so the other thing that struck me about this video, about this guy, was he is the CEO of Patreon. And honestly, I have a Patreon page, but it's paltry. It's like really small. And I've had problems on Patreon. Like, I can't tell you, I've had at least 10 people contact me and tell me they tried to support me at the highest tier, which in my case is like 35 bucks a month. And Patreon wouldn't allow it. They only allowed them to support me at $3 a month. And so I've been going back and forth with Patreon for like over a year, honestly. And I get nothing but like bullshit responses. You know, responses from people who obviously have no ability to fix this, people who don't really care. You know, they're doing their best, they're trying to help me, but they got no juice, they can't help me. And I just kept emailing and I kept going after it, and it was like really bothering me because I was losing money. But then I just let it go, because I was like, you know what? Patreon doesn't give a fuck about me. They don't care. You know, they've created this website for them. They say it's for the artists, they say it's for us. And yes, it's a way to make money if you can do well somehow on Patreon. But look at what's happening to me. People are trying to support me for more money, and they can't, because there's some kind of something wrong with Patreon. And, you know, they keep saying to me, well, it's working on our end. I'm like, what kind of answer is that, yo? Then I asked them to contact the people directly. I gave them their emails. They never contacted anybody directly to try to help me, because they don't care about me. They don't care what happens to me. They could care less. So I have to care. And what I care about is the work that I choose to do and what I want out of that work, you know. I find that when I try something, if I could do it well, I really want to dive in there and get the most out of myself in that world. And so if that makes me vast, I feel like that's the greatest compliment, you know, to be vast. Because think about that, if your empathy is vast, you know, if your humanity is vast, if your life experience is vast, if your friendships are vast, that's like a, that's the greatest privilege I can think of. I want it to be a representation of what I do, what nobody else does. I want to tell the story and do the work in a way that would never even occur to anybody else to do it. Like, you know, I want people to follow me because they're like, there's nobody else that they could follow who's going to sound like that or talk about those things or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, there's something unique about me. I ain't trying to be like anybody else, you know. I'm not trying to follow these trends. I'm not trying to do that. And I'm sure that's to my detriment on social media, but that's just the way I am, and that's what I want. I want to be unique. I want to be just like me. I don't want to be like anybody else. I want to contribute. I want to make meaningful, beautiful stories that people really enjoy coming to see. I want to entertain them, but I also want to add to them. You know, I want to contribute to their, I want to maybe help in elevating their mentality a little bit, you know, the way they look at the world. I want to raise their empathy. I want to help grow their empathy. That's what I want. Like, I don't know if I can succeed at that, but that is what I want. That's what I really want to do. And I feel like that's what I need. And that's why I wake up every day and I do it, you know? So, again, it ain't your job to be mad at all this. It ain't your job to be cynical or paranoid or any of that. Think of your job as to be magical, to be inspiring, to be really smart, you know, to challenge yourself, to get the most out of yourself. And then just when you think you're as good as you could be, start over again and keep going. Keep contributing, because the better you get, the more you have to offer. And that's what this life is about, you know, like, what are we here for? You know, you hear it all the time. You know, you can accumulate all these things, you can't take anything with you. None of us gets out of this alive. So what are we here for? We're here for each other. We're here to have relationships. We're here to encourage one another. We're here to help one another. You know, that's what we're here for. We're here to contribute. We're here to try to, like, you know, drag somebody along when they can't walk anymore, or lift somebody up when they fall down, you know, push somebody when they can't get up that mountain. Like, that's what we're here for. We're here for one another. And I think if we think that way, it'd be a much better world, you know. It ain't all about you. So let me just tell you real quick too, because I think I've said enough about this. I'm doing something right now that's really unusual for me. I'm using the Panasonic 20 to 60 kit lens. It's a variable aperture from f3.5 to f7.1, I think. And it's really a cool lens. And the reason I have it is because I didn't have a lens that was wider than 28 millimeters. But I had some redundancy because I have a Minolta 28 millimeter f2.8 prime, which is an old vintage lens, which I use like 90% of the time. And I also had a Sigma 28 to 70 f2.8, which is a great lens. It's an autofocus lens. It's really sharp. And, you know, it's a good focal distance, you know, from 28 to 70. I'm going to say this again, too, because I've said it so many times. Probably the greatest collaborator that I ever had, my director, Stephen Bishop Seeley, from my first play, Broke Wide Open. You know, Broke Wide Open was a memoir piece, and it was about my family and my coming of age and my very ambivalent search for my biological mother, who I had never met, and my biological father, and all this stuff, all this angst I had. And so it was all about me. And one day, after working on it for like 2 years, I was 2 years in already, he said to me, you know, Rock, even though this play is all about you, it's not a good play until it's all about all of us. And that hit me like a ton of bricks. You know, I was so affected by that. And I thought about it every day. And I wrote every day for 6 years. I didn't write the ending to that play for 5.5 years. I couldn't get to it. I wrote over 250 endings. And I finally got to it after writing every day. But there was a moment when I was in London where, you know, a young Nigerian kid came up to me, and after he saw Broke Wide Open, he was like, oh my God, your family is my family. Everything, I can't believe it. Your grandmother is my grandmother. And I'm like, where are you from? He's like, Nigeria. And I was like, your Nigerian grandmother is the same as my Jewish lady from the Bronx grandmother? And he's like, exactly the same. Your family is my family. Your life is my life. That's when I realized Broke Wide Open was a good play. But I have a short film that I have to shoot next week. and I'm going to be inside of a storage space and inside of some cramped surroundings, and I realized that 28 millimeters might not cut it. And so I thought if I could just have a 20 millimeter lens. And so I looked for some stuff, and I was looking at mostly vintage lenses, but then I was like, you know what? I used that 28-70 once on a short film, because I went into this, and it wound up being a long film, because for, you know, perfect example, I had no idea what I was dealing with. The person I was working with, who was a great artist, but she really had no idea what she really wanted. Like, I could tell by the way she was talking to me, she really didn't know. And so I felt like I need a zoom lens to be prepared, because I don't know what's going to happen. Like, I don't want to have to bring a whole bunch of lenses for this. I'm not getting paid all that much money. And it served me really well. And that was the 3.5 years between year 3 and 4 that I was in Camden in the UK. And then we built upon that, and then, you know, finally ran off Broadway, and it was a 6-year journey. That's what you should be thinking about. Not, oh my God, how do watch hours work? You know, like I say in this video, watch hours should be, what are you watching? You know, what are you watching? What are you inspired by? I could talk to you about movies like Cinema Paradiso and TV shows like The Wire and Station 11 and things like that. Like, that is where my watch hours are, because that's inspiring to me. That makes my heart swell. That makes me feel excited to go write my own stories, you know? And just writing all the time. I'm always creating. That's where I want to think about. You know, I don't want to think about, you know, how to get more subscribers. And if you notice, I never say subscribe, hit the like, any of that. I want you to be here because you want to be here. It's fun, you know? It's cool. It's free. It ain't all that deep. So now that I need a 20 millimeter, I said, you know what? Let me sell the 28-70, which I put it up on eBay and it sold right away. And I'll buy the 20-60, which I picked up on MPB, and I got it really inexpensively. So I still have a zoom lens. It's a native lens for Panasonic, so I still have one autofocus lens if I ever need to use autofocus, which I never do, but if I need it, I have it. And I have a wider focal length now, 20 millimeters. And I'll tell you what, there's like a huge difference between 20 millimeters and 28. So I feel like I have what I need now. And I kind of like the way this lens looks, you know. I have a moment filter on it, you know, what is it called, a halation filter, and I'm using an ND filter right now, and I love the way it looks. I like the way it's rendering the colors. You know, the S5 is such a great camera. I'm using the Panasonic S5, and so that's what I'm using today, in case you were wondering. And kind of interesting to have a new lens like that, but it can be very meaningful if people get something out of it from time to time that inspires them. Like, every time somebody tells me, and this happens a lot, I have to admit, when people tell me you've inspired me to do a project or to do this or get out my old camera or start writing or whatever, that to me is the greatest honor. I've inspired you to do something that hopefully you're going to create and then share with other people. Even if you just share it with your family or your close friends, or if you wind up doing a play in front of 1,500 people or make a movie and it winds up in big theaters or whatever, on whatever level, to whatever degree, it's a beautiful thing. And I honestly believe that's why we're here, to help one another, to give to one another, to be able to receive from one another, and, you know, receive like good nutrition, you know, and to fill somebody up like good nutrition, to just make each other better. And, you know, as far as the variable aperture, I generally don't shoot wide open anyway. You know, I often shoot, like right now, I'm shooting at f8, and I get plenty of blur in the background with a full frame camera. I often shoot in f4. And, you know, so if I go to 60 millimeters, I mean, I have a 50 millimeter and a 58 millimeter lens. You know, I have two vintage lenses at 50 and 58. So really, I bought this because I needed a wide angle lens. But it is cool to have the 20-60. So if I do go out and I just want to have fun, or if I'm doing a favor for somebody and I feel like I need a zoom lens, this is fine for me. I'm not going to miss from 60 to 70. It's not a big deal. And I've opened it up from 28 to 20, and that is a big deal. And actually from 60 to 85, you know, it's like 60, 70, 85, really, they don't look all that different to me. But 20 to 28, that looks a lot different. So, yo, the kit lens ain't so bad. It's really good. Yeah, that's, you know, thanks so much to my friend who sent me that link to that video. And I am thinking about my watch hours. I do hope I get monetized at some point. But you could trust and believe that coming to this channel, you're always going to get me trying to be me and nobody else. I'm not trying to do any trends. So if you want to get off the YouTube train for a little bit and come see something a little bit different, come here every once in a while. And if you want to subscribe, that's awesome. I will never ask you to do that. I never really ask you to do any of that stuff. I'm just honored that you would come here, and I'm trying to contribute to you as best I can. And if you think that I do that, I've done my job. So yeah, that's it for today. I guess that's all I got. And that's it. Don't worry about all the bullshit. As I often say, fuck all the dumb shit, focus on the good shit.